All right, and we're live. Yeah, get a sip of water here. I was really tired today. I just took a nap. I was going to do one of these earlier, but I tapped out for about 30 minutes. Got up, realized I've got time to get one of these done, so let's do it. All right, guys, since these tend to take a minute or two to start filling up, and most of you tune in after the fact, please remember to subscribe to my channel down below. Please remember to click like down below. That includes all of you guys there. There's more people posting than clicking like. Click the like, guys. Follow me on Instagram. And use my Amazon affiliate link. All that's listed underneath each thing. Also, people who are like, where do we contact you about coaching services? There's a link in the description of every video on my channel. All right, let's get to some of these questions. Cian goes, hey, JJ Grant says first, but he was not first. Jason is the Blaha. I don't even know what in the fuck that means. You're making fun of my name, bro? That's kind of racist. We got multiple clients in here already. Can a natty lifter hit a 250 kilogram squat over time? You've never met a natty who's done it? I have. Now, they're either going to be real big framed or they're going to be fat, right? Now, you're talking about natty guys doing that at a lean body fat? Relatively rare. Not saying they don't exist, but genetically, that's probably not in the cards for 95+% of the population. But has it been done? Sure, I know natties who've done it. Emma says, hey, Jason, what's up, Emma? I got your vlog done today. It'll be up in a few days. Does the buffalo bar take some pressure off the elbows? Not really. Why would it? Doug goes, I was first. Well, not quite, Doug. Where is the best place to find studies done specifically about strength? On the internet. Specifically, there's a website called Google. Go to www.google.com. It's a search engine. It's been around a really long time. You can find those studies. That's how I do it. Any suggestions or resources for learning about PEDs? Not sure if this is against the rules. I couldn't tell you. It's stuff I've learned over decades. Tons of research. There's a lot of bad information out there these days also, so I don't really know. Could we not talk about Konevsky, Nasa, whatever? I'll ban you for that shit. I will ban you for discussing that evil and vile person on my channel. Hamstring curls carry over to deadlift. Maybe. I'm not a big fan of a lot of hamstring curls. A lot of the machines are so poorly designed they don't work the hamstrings. You're probably better off doing a stiff leg deadlift or an RDL than doing them. Right? They're just oftentimes not very goodly designed machines. But you're asking getting your hamstrings bigger care of the deadlift? For a lot of people it will, yeah. I just don't know that all hamstring curls are that great. Most of them aren't. You have to look at the design of the machine and see if there's active insufficiency. My press day went awful today, coach. Couldn't even get a single on my 1+ set with 95% training max. Seat wasn't the best night for. Should I knock my training max? Yeah, if you miss a training max, 95% of the training max, you should never miss that. Either there's something very, very, very wrong with your recovery and your programming, or something's wrong in general. You shouldn't be missing 95, or you shouldn't miss 100% of a training max. Okay, we define a training max usually as a lift that you could hit with the flu or after a night with no sleep. with a hangover. If you can't lift it, it's not a training max. It's too heavy. You should be able to lift it on a really bad day. Hey, Jason, is it important to lift consistently at the same time of day, or is this not a factor? It can be a factor. Sets of 10 on the deadlift make me dizzy. Can I do mini triples with the same one? No, you need to get in shape. You're out of shape, Isaac. Work on your conditioning. Thoughts on weighted hyperextensions? It's an exercise for the lower back. Wide grip pull-ups versus chin-ups. Is there much difference in mass built in the back? Subject to great debate. I think the wide grip pull-up has a little more potential for the back, in my opinion. However, I mean, if you're deadlifting also and doing, chins, you're probably going to have pretty good back development, probably pretty complete. Oh, this isn't the real Emma. Bye-bye. It's a troll. Your conjugate clients did 3x10s, blah, blah, blah. No, Marco, stop, fucking stop. I don't prescribe that for anyone ever anymore. Stop. See how easy that is? Thoughts on L-citrulline as a stem-free pre-workout? I've never heard of that before, Dean. I appreciate the donation, but this is outside of my wheelhouse. I don't even know if there is any use for citrulline. Is it actually a useful supplement for anything? Also, why do you need a pre-workout? Get in and train. Hey, coach, former intermediate here who has excessive body fat but currently late novice numbers, almost a skinny fat look. Would you say it's better to cut? You can't. You're lying to me. You can't be skinny fat and be an intermediate. You can't even be a late novice and be skinny fat. It's not how. It's not possible. Skinny fat means you have gained no muscle. If you're putting up late novice numbers, you have some muscle. To be skinny fat, you have to have the same amount of muscle that someone who's really underweight has, but with more body fat. Okay, so you can't be. You need to figure out where you really are. But you're not going to recomp. If you're not really fat, you're not going to recomp. So drop that word. You either need to cut or bulk depending upon what's more important to you right now. Okay? Either you want to gain muscle or you want to lose fat. Pick one. You can't serve two masters. Jason, do you program rest weeks with no lifting in addition to deloads? On occasion, but it's due to people's lifestyles, not because it's optimal. I would never optimally program that, no. Good afternoon, Jason. My knees cracked, but there's no pain. Do I need to worry about changing my training? Nope. No pain, but they crack is nothing to worry about. It's nitrogen bubbles in your knees. Hey, Jason, I cut my hand today. I don't think I max on bench without opening up the wound again. Can I just do dynamic upper days until it heals completely? I don't know the nature of your cut. Do whatever you have to do to keep training around it. Coach, why do you not have your clients do ice cream fitness? Skull, I want you to think about that one for a moment. I'm not going to dignify that with an answer because I feel like I've answered that sort of question a million times on my channel already. It shouldn't be hard to figure out. Bodybuilding had distorted his mind. Penny, whose mind got distorted? I'm lost. Who are we talking about? What is a late novice or early intermediate numbers for the average person? See, and go to this website called Google and type in strength standards. They're going to be weight and height dependent. So it's not a set number, right? It's not a set number. That's why we have charts for this. Because I can't just give you a number. I would just be spitting out random numbers. For me to give you an answer, I would have to go to Google right now and pull up charts and read the charts out loud to you. So, I mean, it's easy enough to figure out. Okay, maybe not quite skinny fat, but I do have like 20 pounds extra fat and look soft compared to before time. I think I'll cut first, so it was a nice long bulk after. I mean, that's reasonable. Oh, yeah, Benny, I agree. That's probably some bodybuilding distortions. Is Michael Hearn on gear? No, Bob, he says he's natty, so why would anyone lie about that, right? Any specific time, moment to take in vitamin K? I prefer to take mine in the morning. I'm going to say take it with fat. I take it at the same time I take my fish oil, just because I'm getting a nice little heavy load of fat at the same time. It is a fat soluble vitamin. Do you have any thoughts on Dave Tate's version of conjugate with a heavy 3x supplemental lifter for max effort dynamic work before accessory work? I don't know. Is that what Dave's doing? You sure he doesn't have a lot of versions? You know? What cases would you consider reverse banding a lift for a conjugate client who doesn't have specialty bars or max effort only? Are you going to stick with USPA or are you going to some of the big? USPA is the biggest in town, my friend. That's where I'm going to compete. Has the most competitions, the most competitors, and untested powerlifting. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I chose it. And they have ultra strict standards. No one can question your lifts these days if you compete USPA, because they're a massive, massive federation with strict standards. Skull crushers. I have people who use gear. Like, I don't understand your question. What do you mean? Would I ever encourage? I don't ever encourage my clients to take gear. They choose to take gear or not. I don't encourage any human being on the face of the earth to take it unless their goals require it. Then I'm going to be honest with them. Hey JB, I'm 5'8", 225. I've lean and bulking on 2 grams of gear, bench training max 300, considering 10 by 10 on bench, 5 by 10 on press with 5 sets. I don't know. You're on 2 grams of gear, anything will work really. I mean, just get volume and you're going to grow. Doesn't fucking matter, honestly, on 2 grams of gear. You're going to get bigger. And that would work. Or you could fine tune your volume and try to optimize it and get less injuries. Kind of up to you. Hey, Jason, my 13-year-old boy has reached 200 pounds for threes on the trap bar, thinking of starting him doing deadlifting at high volume sets. Your thoughts, sir? Well, put him on regular programming, like 5-3-1, whatever. But here's what I would say: he's 13. Don't overload him too much. Okay, wait till he fully hits puberty. He's not going to gain that much muscle anyways. How much weight loss will lead to loose skin on 40, 50 pounds? Probably more than that. I mean, I lost, you see the loose skin I have, Rich? That was over 100 pounds of fat loss. For pure hypertrophy, what do you think of pre-exhaustion training? If you've looked at any studies on it, you'll know that it produces inferior results. You literally have to use more steroids to make the same growth on it. That's the reason some guys get big who do it, is because they're just blasting enough gear that it doesn't matter. It's actually been proven to be horrible in the lab. Can intermediate still progress with linear progression? No, not a standard LP. No, they're not an intermediate if they can. Okay, Grant. So let's think about that as one of the definitions. One of the definitions of an intermediate is someone who cannot progress on linear progression anymore. A lot of coaches consider that to be the literal definition of the word. I mean, so the answer is really no. Coach, you ever going to put skulls? I answered that before. Do you know how hard it is to film at a powerlifting meet if you don't bring a crew these days? Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Skull, why don't you show up and film and then send me the footage so that I can do it? Like everyone asks that, but no one says, hey, Jason, we'll all show up and film at World Championship for you. None of you guys are offering to do that. I can't film it. I'm competing. You can't even set up a tripod. Someone has to physically hold the camera and try not to get knocked down. I'm not working or training that I'm watching a Jason Blaha video. Keep up the great content, coach. Do you tell your clients to avoid stimulus like coffee workout to avoid over psyching? I don't have them avoid it, but I definitely tell them to avoid pre-workouts. I definitely tell them to avoid anything that's going to push them over the top. And if it's a problem for them, they need to maybe start limiting caffeine. Coach, when someone said, Jordan, that I wouldn't take that too seriously. No, he didn't mean 3 years. Hey, Jason, trying to figure out what the t-shirt says. The heavier, the better. And the better's at the bottom underneath the guy. Good afternoon, Jason. Thoughts on pro hormones? No, waste of money. They're garbage. Hey, Jason, hope you're doing well. Think of incorporating jump rope for some conditioning work. Should I be concerned regarding the level of impact on my legs when jumping? No, dude, jumping rope is great. Should I run AIs with RAD 140? RAD 140 is garbage and AIs will kill you. You shouldn't run AIs even on a gram of test. That's my advice. When people ask me for gear advice, I tell them one of the things I tell them is don't crash your estrogen levels. You won't be lifting heavy and not having heart attacks at my age if you use AIs. Let me put it to you that way. You can forget that shit happening. I volunteer, but I don't have any gear like camera, whatever you said. You had a buddy coming. No, I didn't say I had a buddy. I said one of my followers may be showing up who's a longtime follower. He's on my friends list on Facebook. I've never met him in person, who lives in the same city. He might show up and film some. You film it on your phone and you can text it to someone or send it through Messenger, just like my clients do, right? You take your phone and they send it to me through the Messenger app. But there's no guarantee of that. And I'm not flying someone out and paying for their hotel to film a meet. Like, dude, I spend enough money on meets as it is. I'm not going to make any money putting those videos up. Where are they going to make $30, $50? What do you think it's going to cost me to bring someone to a meet? And figure I might have to pay them to take off work. I'm going to have to buy their airplane tickets round trip. I'm going to have to buy several nights in a hotel room for them. Figure $1,000 is what it would cost for me to just bring someone with me to film the meet. It's not worth it. And then I got to deal with the hassle of them, and maybe they don't understand what I need for competition, and I need to be left alone. I need to, relax, sleep, do my water cuts. I'm not there to hang out or be their buddy either. So I mean, it's not as easy when you don't have a whole entourage like some of these people do. It's not as easy as you think to get that all set up. I do have someone who's going to be working me at Worlds, and he may be able to film for me, or his girlfriend, I think, is going to be there and she might be filming. But he's going to handle my lift offs and everything, keeping my head straight. Thoughts on replacing the leg raises with weighted decline sit-ups? They're not a real replacement. What's your advice on preventing rotator cuff injuries recovering from a sprain? That's way too nuanced to cover here. Make sure your shoulders are strong. Don't have overuse problems. Like most rotator cuff injuries are overuse related anyways. Could one make maximal squat gains by doing only speed work and accessory work? I was wondering if this could be a good idea. Sorry, guys, been eating a lot. For someone who is trying to manage fatigue, maybe that's one way, but that's called conjugate. If you're doing conjugate, do that. But if you're not doing conjugate, just manage your fatigue program better. Right? You see me squatting over 500 pounds at age 45, doing just regular programming. Just manage your fatigue. Good programming. Hey, coach, are you going to be spinning up some new merch soon? I'd be game for some tanks. No, Mikey, it's not currently in the cards. I paid someone a while back to design merch and it didn't fall through. So I'm not real keen on the idea of hiring artists to do this shit for me. I've already lost money and I don't want to do it again. It's not like it's going to make it. The merch doesn't make that much money. And I already lost $1,000. What about Tribulus? No, they don't work. How do I program an upper lower split on upper day? I put bench, overhead press, and chin up for main lifts plus 4 exercises for pump work. And on lower day, I put squat and deadlift plus pump work. All right. I've got to read that over again. How do I program an upper lower? Okay. You're asking me, how do you program it? I mean, you need to learn how to program. I have tons of examples. You could look at all the programming I do for my clients. There's plenty of books that you can reference that I've given you. You got to have to learn how to program. But I'm not going to be able to teach you how to program in a live stream. That would be like coming to someone's live stream saying, "Hey, could you teach me how to write binary code for my computer in a live stream?" No, you can't teach someone how to program in a live stream. You're going to have to do a lot of reading. You're going to have to get a lot of experience under your belt. Otherwise, you're going to need to just let someone else program for you. And you can use some of the cookie cutter templates. Like, I don't think you understand how involved it is to write good programming. I do it for a living, and it's way more involved than you think it is, apparently. And that's okay. What percentage of your clients are not natty? I don't have a percentage. I don't want to break out a calculator and try to count in my head and go, let's see. 17.3% of my clients are not natty unless one changes today. I mean, come on, guys. Obviously, most of my clients are natural, but I'm going to have some who aren't. Well, I get gyno on a low dose of ostarine. No, but you're going to be a fucktard for taking ostarine. Why do you guys ask about SARMs and all this bullshit? You guys know I'm anti-SARM. At which point does cardio ruin your strength gains if you're training strength and cardio concurrently? You have to be pretty extreme for it to happen. Amistad, I'm going to say when you start running marathons, you're going to have to be very, 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 very careful about all your programming for it to not impact your strength. Like if you decide you're going to run marathons as a power lifter, okay, you're going to have to be very careful or you may sacrifice, your 500-pound squat might drop 10, 20 pounds. Since football players are a level athletes, do you think the best can come into powerlifting and strongman and dominate? Yes. Which has the greatest glycemic load, white potatoes or white rice? Why does it matter? Are you diabetic? Bob, are you a diabetic who takes insulin? If the answer is no, then there's no practical benefit to you knowing that. Unless you're trying to figure out your insulin dose as a diabetic. If you're a healthy athletic person, it's irrelevant. It has no bearing on your life. What do you don't like with the lean gains method? You really need to be more specific, right? I think it's a little too minimalist. I think a lot of people are going to struggle to make lean gains because they don't realize that Birkin really does want you to be eating 300 or 400 grams of protein a day, stuff like that. Like I'll tell you right now, anyone who even uses the word lean gains, who thinks they're going to eat 250 grams of protein a day, doesn't understand that the nutritional needs to make actual lean gains. That's why I don't advise it. Most people are not disciplined enough to eat 400 grams of protein every day for the next 5 years without missing a day. Jason, is it possible for an older person, 35 plus, to hover around 20 to 25% body fat and also be healthy? Probably not. What is the rationale for adding overhead perspective to training? How does it feel so far? Since I've worked on my shoulder health and I'm not going to go real heavy with it, it feels fine. The rationale is I need to overdevelop my delts. I need to get stronger with a wider grip out of the bottom, and shoulders limit that. Would I buy wrist wraps if my wrists hurt after certain exercises? You should have bought wrist wraps the moment you decided to do any heavy pressing. I only do push-ups and pull-ups and a few years older than you. My pecs are way more solid than yours. It's not like an old man's with other equipment. Oh, yeah. Another troll. Bye-bye. You're just so much better than me. But you can't even use your own name. I love the live streams. Keep it up. Hi, Jason. As a recreational lifter, can I do 2 DE days, 1 ME day for more longevity recovery? Why are you changing a system that works? If you don't like conjugate how it's done, don't do it. Run something else. Jason, where do you do your sled dragging? I don't live in an area where I can easily do it. Any alternatives for GBP? You guys have seen where I do my sled dragging. Trolls have literally doxed and put a map on the internet where I do my sled dragging. Believe me, you could figure out real quick exactly where I do it and what the address is. Everything I do gets doxed. Every place I have ever been on camera has the address doxed and put on the internet. So you know already where I do my sled drags if you did a Google search. So you know exactly how many yards it is from my front door by looking at the doxing. All right. Your alternatives do something else. I think sled drags are phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. But if you can't do sled drags, then do something else. Do something else. There's tons of GPP. You can do barbell complexes. You can do loaded carries. You can flip tires. Right? There's all sorts of stuff. You could do body weight circuits. Sorry if you explained this before, but do accessories usually stay the same on 531 unless you have to address a weak link or inflammation? Well, potentially. You sometimes want to rotate things for overuse, Jordan. But since we're not going to failure and we're not maxing out, overuse is not as important. What makes 5x5% better? Higher quality volume, and it doesn't beat you up. It doesn't beat you up the same. Okay. If you're doing any sort of concurrent training, this has been my experience, doing any tens at 70%, even one set, beats your lifters up quicker because we're doing it as assistance work. Any thoughts on growing the sport of powerlifting? I understand it'll never be mainstream like football. I was wondering, what do you mean? My thoughts, Hunter, are to let it do what it's doing right now because the growth in powerlifting in the last 15 years has been exponential. There's more competitions, more competitors, more money in it every single year, year after year after year. It is blown the fuck up. I mean, that would literally be like watching your Great Dane puppy hit a massive growth spurt and going, is there any way I could speed his growth up? What? How could it possibly grow faster? It's been blowing up, dude. I was competing 8 years ago versus today. It's a different sport. It's a different sport. It has blown the fuck up. Not a question, but I appreciate your vlogging your lifting. A lot of social media lifters don't like to vlog everything. Yep, because they don't want you to see what they actually do. I mean, since you can add weight to decline sit-ups, wouldn't they be better than leg raises? No. Hey, coach, do you think a minimum maintenance volume is 8 to 10 sets per week? Maintenance? No, dude, that's growth. That's growth. That's not maintenance. That's volumes you do when you say, I want to put on size. Maintenance would be like 3 sets. Like 3 sets a week. That's maintenance. So, oh, you got to scroll down. Something happened. All right, we missed a whole bunch of stuff. My thing froze, and I had 20 questions come through. All right, I'll just get to Orc Warriors first. Jason, your opinion, what's the optimal combination of personality traits for your clients for strength? I have no idea. Do you think adding a DE day to a 3-day program like second day bench, 3? Your question is too complex. I'm going to get a headache just trying to figure that one out. Sorry. Why do I get spinal erector pump after a small number of high pulls? When I did rows and stuff the other day and back was fine, just overuse, back's out of shape. Do you think doing 5x20 with 100-pound dumbbells after doing 5x3 boring but big is a good standard? How big are you? If you tell me that you bench less than 405 for a couple reps, I'm going to call bullshit on that number. You're half repping those dumbbells. Is that a good standard? No, that is elite strength athlete standard. I used to be so against bicep training. I regret now it's always cramping up when benching and front squats to the point it almost feels like it's going to tear. Is band curls enough for the biceps? No, it's not. Squatting once a week, as some of your clients do they get DOMs more? Nope. I don't get DOMs from it. Were you a strong kid growing up? I have no idea, Bob. You're asking me to remember being a kid and my strength level. Dude, I'm 45. I wouldn't even know how to answer that. If someone does excessive volume and claims he recovers from it, yet gets injured on strict rows, then he probably doesn't really recover. No, he's not recovering. I don't know what YouTuber, but he's definitely not recovering. Have you changed how you program conjugate all since your views on frequency changed? No, it's not based on frequency, but I do watch percentages closer. I keep overall intensity lower. Jason, I mean 5x20 goblet squats after 5x10 boring but big squats. Yeah, because you said dumbbells. I'm thinking dumbbell presses. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Jason, how long have you been training for powerlifting? I don't know. A long time. Jason, how long have you been lifting light? You mean nonstop or when did I start? Because light, here's the problem with those questions. I spent an entire year in bed sick. All right. I spent an entire year in bed sick, and my doctors told me not to work out for 3 years straight. So how do we answer that question, since that was right in the middle of my lifting career? I had to learn to walk again. I couldn't even walk. So, I rebuilt from there. So do we count total, or do you want me to count from the point where I learned to walk again and lost 100% of my gains? So it's been about, since I started training again, since then, gosh, what year was that? Anyone remember what year that was? Maybe 2011. So I've been lifting again 11 years since then. And I don't have an exact count for how many years I trained before that 3 years of no training in the year in bed. So I don't know, did I train 7 years or 10 years before that, or was it 12? I don't know. I would need to actually look at a calendar and do the math. Coach, is squatting barefoot better than squat shoes if you have a good ankle mobility? Is there any benefit to using squat shoes? Use squat shoes if you can't hit depth on the Olympic squat. Don't use them if you're not Olympic squatting. Hey, Jason, this isn't a troll question. Yes, it is. You're gone. Yes, because I walk around with a shirt on all the time, you jackass. No, I put the shirt on for these. Do you keep in touch with Alex Viata? Yes. Hey, Jason, first time catching live stream. I've been enjoying the early morning ab workouts that I've got goods. Must drive the ladies crazy. Steve, women don't care about your physique. Gay dudes care about your physique. You think women give a fuck about your body? Oh my God. No, they don't care as much as you think they do. I was asking if the 10 sets from the DE work when they take you 15 sets a week for bench, is that too much volume? Probably, JJ, just stick with the prescribed volumes and conjugate and you'll be fine there. But keep in mind, if you really want to do high volume accessory on conjugate, you probably need to be on drugs. Well, that's what Louis tells you. Do you think he was lying? Why never speed singles on squats like you do on DE deadlift? Well, Jim, think about the time involved. And a lot of times we go away from singles. Some of my guys do up to 5s on speed pulls. But it's just not enough time. It's not enough exertion time on the squat. We miss your firearm reloading channel. Any chance of it returning? A 0.0000% chance of it ever returning. Jason, what do you think of people who say you don't look like you lift? Those people are clearly idiots. No one thinks that in the real world. It's very obvious to people that I lift. I get asked how much I bench by random strangers. So, Jason, can you talk about the home brew phenoplex? Nope. Just hanging leg raises add eventually weight or just keep adding reps? Marco, how strong do you think you need to be to add weight to those? Are you sub 700-pound deadlifter? Are you a sub 600-pound squatter? You'd be just fine doing them unweighted. Hey, Jason, trying to lose some weight. Is cardio bike a good way to go? Know your diet. Thoughts on doing boring but big strong with front squats? No, I wouldn't recommend that. Ben, you're a troll. Bye. Bye-bye. What's your personal favorite specialty bar? I'm going to go with the deadlift bar. Stevie McQueen, I'm gay and giving you a compliment, by the way. All right, that's fair. Like, I might joke about the gay stuff in bodybuilding world, but usually if gay dudes are complimenting you, you're probably pretty hot. Do you watch Jordan Peterson? I'm not a fan of Jordan Peterson, actually. I'm not going to get into why. MCT oil has been touted to be cardioprotective. Do you believe it? No, it's not cardioprotective at all. I don't even think it's healthy. Are 5x10 deadlifts enough for yoke work? Depends on what you need. They'll build your traps up, though. Do you prefer bands or chains for DE? There's some lifts you prefer bands. I generally prefer bands for DE work. Jason, what advice could you give me? I really want to compete in a local bodybuilding show. Should I still use? If you want to compete in bodybuilding, learn to cup the balls. You're going to be doing a whole lot of that. Are you planning on returning to the UK? I will never go to the UK again. I technically legally can. I have no interest in returning even to visit. Just curious why you stopped your farms, Bob, for obvious reasons. It's not, the internet is not a safe world to do that in anymore. Good way to get canceled. No benefit to me doing it. It'd be a waste of time, right? Be a waste of time. I just have no desire to do it. Risking my business for no money. You guys have plenty of places you can learn about firearms. I learned all the stuff I know about reloading by reading reloading manuals and doing it. I have a powerlifting meet soon. Best shoes. Don't wear shoes in training. Get some Chucks. Does GH really help with your skin? I don't know. I don't think it does. Jason, if 5-3-1 work, I can do 75% for 3x10. No, you can't. You got to be really weak if you can do that. No, you need to do 50%. Pendlay rows or boring big row for overall strength and hypertrophy. I prefer barbell rows as I can lift more. I mean, it's up to you. Because I do a lot of volume deadlifting, I don't row anymore. Jason, where can I I'm going to ban you because I don't work with bodybuilders and you're just a troll. Bye-bye. What's the most important single piece of advice you'd give a novice powerlifter? Learn the lifts, learn the rules, make sure that your lifts that you do in training will pass in competition. Don't go with the mindset, it'll be there when meat gets there. Make sure your shit's perfect in the gym and practice it. All other factors considered, I'm 39, no interest in competing or taking anything, conjugate or 5-3-1, better path, potentially use some coaching over the summer when I'm all. Again, conjugate's very equipment specific, right? It's very equipment specific. If you don't have a lot of equipment, 5-3-1 would be the better choice. In your experience, do more people in the UK use stuff for, it's heavy. Gear is used in large quantities in all gyms everywhere, but the UK, it is definitely a higher percentage of guys who lift use gear because it's legal there, and it's legal and cheap, and it's everywhere. Like the UK, you can walk to the internet and order gear and have it at your house in 2 days. You can choose between 7 different labs. And the police can't arrest you for it. Is your life the best it's ever been? Are you at your peak? You seem wealthy. I'm not even going to answer that. Silliness. I'm doing pretty good though. Can I do supplemental lifts fairly close to failure? I would say a couple reps from failure. I'm a novice. Yes, my bench is 155. If I want to do 3x10, how about you do five? But why don't you guys run the programs? You're novices. Run the program correctly. Quit trying to write your own shit. Right? So let me ask you a question. Do you intentionally want to stay small? Then write your own shit. If you don't want to make as good a results as possible, as someone with no experience, start modifying it and write your own shit. That's a good way to ensure you don't get results. Run the template as it's written. Run them directly out of the books if you don't know how to program. You haven't coached at least 20 lifters to pretty high strength levels. Personally, don't change anything. I'm 6'2", 185 bench, 225 squat, 315 deadlift, 460. Are these good? Also, what weight should I be? You need to gain weight. Oh man, you need to gain some weight. Your bench is low. Didn't you say before that one separate muscle gives you? No, this is for novices. That's for novice lifters. Look at the data for more advanced people. Like, quit thinking in those terms. I was pretty shocked how many people are walking around with gear, particularly in the north of England. Yep. Any good exercise specifically target the VMO? How about squats? Do wide stance good mornings count as a full set for hamstrings and lower back? I'd say so. Jason, I have trouble hitting depth on 95% max squat. Should I lower? It's if you're not hitting depth, it's not 95% of your max. It's 105% of your max. It's too heavy is why you're not able to hit depth. On my Orc Warriors, you look good and you look happy. I've been following you for 5 years. Yeah, I'm in a good place in my life these days. You know, in terms of my private life, my financial life, I'm doing pretty well. I mean, we could always do better, but I can't complain either. What are your thoughts on partial reps and when do you use them? I don't generally program partial reps for the most part. I do some pen work and stuff for heavy work for some of my lifters for certain reasons, but I'm not a big fan of relying on partials in general. Jason, I'm currently on finasteride and minoxidil. Does it affect the testosterone involved? It'll affect your DHT, which can reduce gains in sex drive, worst case. Do you ever max on GMs anymore or have? No, I don't. Nope. Jason, I try not to listen to music while lifting, but honestly, boss battles are pretty sweet during AM reps. I guess that's fine. Allie, if you're 150, you're probably not a novice. You haven't finished your noob gains. How are you 150 pounds? Do you gain enough muscle to finish your noob gains? Then you're still a noob if you haven't. I live in the Netherlands. If you order gear, you get it the next day, sometimes the same day. Yeah, sounds about right. From your observation, what percentage of gear users don't look like they lift? Because I've heard most don't look like they do, about half. Been pushing it balls to the wall since New Year's now, feeling more fatigued and relatively stressful life at the moment. Would you deload? Yeah, I'd deload then. I'd also cut my volume back. Hey, Jason, hope you're good. As a landmine row is good. Another accessory on 531 template after a pen lay barbell rows or another type of row you like. I don't know, 6 one way, half a dozen the other. These are getting buried a little bit. Coach, what are your thoughts on using band-assisted pull-ups for volume? Maybe if you're too weak to do them, I would do inverted rows also until you're strong enough to do pull-ups. I've noticed I fart more when I eat vegetables due to the fiber. It's getting annoying. Yeah, it's the vegetables. So it's making me burp. I ate a giant meat salad a bit ago. How heavy should a training max be? Can you do a training max on one squat day and do rep work on the second? I don't program that way. Coach, is there any use for chest flies? Maybe if you have really weak pecs and enormous triceps. If your triceps are so big that you don't want to risk them getting any bigger, that's a good time to do chest flies if their pecs are lagging. But see, a training max should be a weight you could lift on your worst day of your life. Okay. What are your thoughts on all the inflation going on the last couple of years? Well, Matt, let me ask you a question. Is there some reason you believe that I'm an economics expert? I mean, I know I'm really, really good at getting people strong at the deadlift, right? I'm really good at getting people to 600 deadlifts. So therefore, I guess that qualifies me to be an economist. That's like, when what's his name? Basketball player gives you his advice on politics or social issues, right? Because he can dribble a ball. He's now an expert on politics. So, I guess me being amazing at deadlifts and coaching the deadlift qualifies me to be an expert on inflation, right? I don't know. Well, it's something because of money and the president and the price of oil and the Illuminati are definitely involved. That's what I think. I think the 13 Illuminati bloodlines are definitely involved somehow in this inflation, but I don't know the exact mechanism by which they caused it. But on things outside of their real house. From your observation, what are the strength levels of the average gear user? Weak as fuck. Our volume recommendations the same on 531 and conjugate around 10 sets, 10 to 12, 10 to 15, depending on the person. Does the speed of the rep have any effect on hypertrophy? No, not really. But if he gets too slow, it reduces it. That has been found to be true. But outside of that, very, very little difference. Even like eccentrics, 1 second to 4 seconds all seem to cause the same effect. What are your thoughts about Greg Nuckols and his training advice? That's kind of nuanced. I think a lot of his training and science info is good. I don't like his personal views or his politics. Do you think it's a good idea if I'm doing lat work to say 3x10 pull-ups and 2x10 chin-ups in the same session, or stick to one variant in a session? Okay, Stevie, we don't need to go on and on about what you find attractive about me, bro. I appreciate it, but there are limits. Not stretching before or after workout have negative effects on strength gains. Yes, it will. Do other coaches that are your friends also program conjugate for either of their clients who have their own methods? They all use their own methods. I know a lot of conjugate coaches, actually. Advice on motivation when you're natty, have fierce friends who hopped on gear and surpassed you quickly in strength size can be demoralizing. Don't be a fucking pussy. That's it. That's the only motivation you should ever need. That's it. Don't be a fucking pussy. Done. Coach, is it worth an intermediate lifter investing in a decent power bar rather than just a standard $100? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was asking for a friend. He is strong but low body, 155. And well, yeah, he needs to get bigger. He will never not be a novice till he gains his noob gains. Only 5'9", that's average height. What are your thoughts on one set till failure as a finisher after one? No, I don't advise training to failure. One set to failure doesn't put more muscle on you than one set 2 reps from failure. That's what the research shows. Why don't you do 5 sets not to failure? You'll make way more gains and you won't get as fatigued. When doing daily dead hangs and 90 seconds are easy, would you advise for fat grips? No, you're in a good place. Gain weight. There's your progressive overload. Get bigger. They'll get harder. Do not add weight to dead hangs. I learned this the hard way. Learn from my mistakes. What about the speed of eccentric on DE work? Should you try to? DE work is a completely different animal. We're not doing it purely for hypertrophy. Right? That's a totally different beast. It depends on how much of an overspeed eccentric you're chasing. But that we're getting into bands and stuff at that point. Overspeed eccentrics with bands. That's a different beast. Currently doing dumbbell presses on both press and bench press, Dave. I switched to one big template. Yeah, I'd only do them on one day. It's too much. Jason, on bench day, my gym partner puts his hands on the bar to assist me on the last. Nope. Nope. They don't count. Any rep that someone touches, you do not count. You rack it. Why are you doing 2 reps? You should have racked the first time he touched it. Coach, will training over 90 minutes hurt our testosterone? No. And, I love Louis Simmons, and he used to say that, but all his guys are injecting testosterone. You can't lower it. It's not possible when you're injecting it. The amount you inject determines it, not anything else in your lifestyle at that point. But even if it did, transient fluctuations in testosterone have been found to have no correlation at all with the amount of muscle you gain. Hey, Jason, I've been bulking for 5 months. I'm 6 foot, 190, starting to get chubby fat. Is it time to cut? Probably not. Not for you. Is there a study that says 1 in 3 male gym goers used in the UK can find a study which is approximately 1 million do? I saw something like that too. Power hooks for big low rep dumbbell. What? I'm not a fan of real low rep dumbbell benching, to be honest. Do you think this is a good measurement for your waist to find out your body fat you're putting your height and weight? No, because there's too much genetics involved there. I mean, it's a good metric, a good baseline. Hey, Coach, thank you for your time and energy. Keep dishing out tough love. Keep doing you. Desiccated liver benefits, none. Just because Vince Gironda wrote about that in the 50s doesn't mean it's actually true. That's where you got it from. Coach, are dumbbell bicep curls useless as an accessory? No. Okay, so what weight should you be after new gains? Like whatever, 5'9" and walks around. Dude, he needs to be at least 170, 180. One set to failure, Dorian states, well, 315, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 plus pause rep. No, Dorian, that's not how Dorian trained. Dorian would do multiple work sets with the last heavy weight, and he'd only count the set that went to failure. Dorian still did like 15 sets of body part. It's hard to judge reps in reserve for face pulls with bands and lateral raises, so can these be trained to failure? Why don't you just stop short of failure? Do you recommend hip grip on deadlift? I find it tough to get my shoulders back enough with mixed grip, double overhands, no good in going heavy. You could try it. You see if it works for you. Should pendlay rows be done explosively? Yes. Can back squat form be properly learned, self-taught through videos and reading along with practice? Yeah. Also, would my 12-year-old be too young to lift weights on a 5? Yeah, I wouldn't put him on a 5x5. Too heavy for that age. Do limb length, shorter upper arm folks have mechanical advantage of pressing greater weight? Yes, they do. Hey, Jason, for 5'3", boring but big, what are your thoughts on... Oh, you almost slipped through. It's funny, these trolls think they upset me. They don't. I just ban them. Like, they don't understand I'm so used to it for so many years, just all day long. It doesn't affect me. Did you ban me? Yes, obviously. That's why you can still post, the settler. If I do Lou raises, but then on my last couple reps only do I don't know. You're getting too complicated. If test has diminishing returns after 1 to 2 grams, you mean it has diminished returns at every dose. Why do bodybuilders use 5 to 10 grams? Because they get more. Okay. If they got 3% more muscle growth from going from 2 grams to 10 grams, and their entire career depends on them getting bigger, aren't they going to get the 2% more muscle growth? Okay. I don't see what's confusing about that. Are good mornings better done on squat day on 5-3-1 boring big to avoid overkill and deadlift day? And how you're recovering? I've programmed them on the different days, depending upon the lifter. No worries, coach. And squat stance for long femur dudes. Do you think it's worth trying to set up a belt squat with a leg? Dude, I've messed with all of it. It's not worth it. Squat. Just get the belt squat. Trust me, I've tried everything. They're not comparable. Why have tested powerlifting records increased so much in the last 5 years is due to the gear. Yeah, you notice he said tested. People are good at beating drug tests. More genetic, a larger genetic pool since more people compete. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wind this one down a few minutes early. So I hope it's been informative. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I love all of you, and I will talk to you next time.